The story begins on a warm, sunny afternoon at a sprawling mansion, the kind of place that looks like it belongs in a luxury magazine. The estate is enormous, with manicured lawns, sparkling fountains, and towering trees lining the property. The sound of soft classical music mixes with laughter and the gentle splash of the pool water, creating an atmosphere that feels both relaxed and extravagant. The mansion itself is breathtaking. Its walls are painted in soft cream tones, and huge glass windows reflect the bright sunlight, showing glimpses of crystal chandeliers and elegant furniture inside. Every corner of the house seems carefully designed to show wealth and sophistication. Guests arriving at the party immediately notice the long driveway lined with exotic cars, sleek sports cars, limousines, and even a few rare models that most people only dream of seeing. The scene is almost surreal, like stepping into a world that is completely separate from everyday life. The crowd is just as impressive as the mansion. Influential people, celebrities, and the ultra-rich mingle casually, though beneath the surface, everyone is quietly sizing each other up. The party has a mix of personalities, some are charming and friendly, others are quietly competitive, and a few are clearly trying too hard to impress. Conversations flow easily, covering everything from business deals to exotic vacations, and even the latest fashion trends. People laugh loudly at jokes, clink glasses filled with expensive champagne, and pose for photos that they will later share on social media. There is an air of excitement and anticipation, like everyone knows something special is going to happen that day. Food and drinks are everywhere. Waiters in crisp white uniforms carry trays of delicate hors d'oeuvres, small canapés, and chocolate treats. There are stations with sushi, fresh seafood, and international delicacies. The bar is stocked with top-shelf alcohol, aged whiskey, rare wines, and sparkling cocktails that glisten in the sunlight. The pool area is the centerpiece of the gathering, with loungers covered in soft white cushions, giant umbrellas providing shade, and staff constantly refreshing drinks. The water itself is perfectly clear, and floating decorations make it sparkle under the sun. Around the pool, people talk in small groups, some dipping their feet into the water while others laugh and chat without a care in the world. Among the guests, everyone is dressed to impress. Women wear stunning designer dresses, glittering jewelry, and high heels that click against the marble floors. Men wear tailored suits, expensive watches, and sunglasses that add to the aura of luxury. Even the children of some guests are impeccably dressed, playing in the garden or near the pool under the watchful eyes of nannies. It is a visual display of wealth and status, where every detail, from clothing to accessories, seems carefully planned. Despite the beauty and glamour, there is a subtle tension beneath the surface. Guests are aware of each other's social standing, and small gestures, looks, and words carry hidden meanings. A joke meant for laughter could be interpreted as a slight, and every compliment is weighed carefully. In this world, appearances matter more than anything else, and the smallest mistake can become a topic of gossip. But for now, everyone seems to be enjoying themselves, basking in the sun, taking selfies, and celebrating the luxury that surrounds them. Children play safely in a separate area, while adults chat and network. Photographers roam discreetly, capturing moments that will later appear on social media. The staff moves silently and efficiently, making the party feel effortless even though hundreds of people are present. It is clear that every detail, from the flowers to the food, the music to the lighting, was planned to create a perfect, unforgettable event. As the sun begins to tilt toward the horizon, the golden light enhances the colors around the mansion. The pool sparkles more vividly, laughter seems louder, and the overall atmosphere becomes even more magical. Guests sip their drinks, laugh at jokes, and enjoy the pleasant warmth of the evening. For most, it feels like a dream, a rare glimpse into a life of luxury, beauty, and freedom from everyday worries. In this setting, the story is perfectly poised to take a dramatic turn. While everything seems perfect on the surface, human nature, with its playfulness, curiosity, and sometimes recklessness, is always present, waiting for a small spark to ignite something unforgettable. The stage is set, the characters are introduced, and the lavish party provides a perfect backdrop for the shocking events that are about to unfold. Everyone is enjoying themselves, but no one can predict that this celebration of wealth and glamour is about to be interrupted in the most unexpected way. The party was in full swing, the golden sun reflecting off the crystal-clear pool, laughter echoing through the mansion, and glasses clinking in celebration. The atmosphere was light and carefree, with guests enjoying the luxurious setting, sipping champagne, and chatting about their latest vacations, fashion finds, and business deals. Amid the chatter, a group of friends decided to have a little fun, a harmless prank, they thought, to liven up the afternoon. The group noticed a woman standing near the pool, laughing and chatting with a few other guests. She seemed relaxed, her elegant dress flowing softly in the warm breeze. To the onlookers, she appeared just like any other guest, someone blending effortlessly into the glamorous crowd. The friends whispered among themselves, giggling as they came up with a playful idea. "Let's push her into the pool," one of them said with a mischievous grin. It was meant to be a joke, a light-hearted stunt that would get a few laughs and maybe a quick photo for social media. No one thought it would escalate beyond a harmless splash. The group approached casually, pretending to talk to her, making her laugh with small jokes and teasing remarks. In a moment that seemed perfectly timed, they nudged her gently, intending for her to stumble into the water. But as she fell, the scene quickly turned chaotic. The splash was enormous, drenching nearby guests and startling those who hadn't seen it coming. Drinks spilled, shoes slipped on the wet marble, and gasps filled the air. The laughter that had surrounded them moments ago turned into a stunned silence. People froze, unsure whether to laugh, scream, or rush forward to help. As she surfaced from the water, her expression was calm but firm, the kind that immediately silenced even the most confident guests. The room seemed to shrink as realization set in, this was no ordinary guest. This was someone far above the social hierarchy of the mansion, someone whose presence carried weight beyond their imagination. The prank, which had seemed so trivial and harmless, suddenly became a shocking mistake. Whispers started to ripple through the crowd as eyes widened, guests exchanging glances that mixed embarrassment, fear, and disbelief. The friends who had pushed her recoiled in horror. Their playful laughter evaporated instantly, replaced by panic and a sense of dread. They hadn't just disrupted a poolside conversation or ruined a cocktail, they had crossed a line that few could ever afford to cross. The weight of their action settled heavily on them. Some stammered apologies, while others simply stood frozen, unable to find words to explain the recklessness of what they had done. Around the pool, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Guests who had been lounging and chatting now formed small circles, murmuring quietly, their eyes darting between the splashed woman and the group responsible. The staff moved quickly, offering towels and assistance, their professionalism contrasting with the chaos unfolding among the elite guests. Cameras, initially intended for selfies and social media posts, now recorded expressions of shock and tension, capturing every nuance of the unfolding drama. No one could deny the irony of the situation. A joke meant to create amusement had become a defining moment of the afternoon. The prank, fueled by casual confidence and a false sense of safety, had exposed the delicate balance of status, respect, and awareness within this elite circle. The entire mansion seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for what would happen next, whether apologies would suffice, tempers would flare, or reputations would be irreversibly damaged. Even as the sun continued to cast its warm glow across the pool, the event had transformed the energy of the party. The laughter and carefree spirit were replaced with tension, nervous glances, and the realization that actions, no matter how playful, could have serious consequences. What had started as a light-hearted stunt was now a moment that would be remembered by everyone present, an incident that would ripple far beyond the walls of the mansion. And at the center of it all, the woman, soaked but composed, stood as a reminder that appearances can be deceiving. The friends who had acted without thought were about to discover that some pranks have far greater consequences than anyone could imagine. The incident was only beginning to unfold, and what seemed like a small, playful mistake was on the verge of becoming an unforgettable story that would shock everyone involved, and eventually, the world outside the mansion. The laughter that had once filled the poolside was now replaced by a tense silence. Guests who had been lounging on pristine white chairs or dipping their feet into the shimmering water froze, their eyes widening as the situation slowly sank in. What was meant to be a harmless prank, a playful shove into the pool, had suddenly transformed into a moment of shocking gravity. The woman, drenched but standing tall, looked around at the faces staring back at her, her calm composure contrasting sharply with the chaos that had erupted. It only took a few seconds for the truth to ripple through the crowd, like a wave hitting the shore. Whispers began spreading, low at first, then growing louder as the realization hit everyone at once. This was no ordinary guest. The casual elegance, the poised demeanor, and the unmistakable presence all pointed to one undeniable fact: the woman who had just been shoved into the pool was the wife of a billionaire. The air seemed to thicken as the truth sank in, and a collective gasp escaped from the crowd. Conversation stopped mid-sentence, champagne glasses paused halfway to lips, and the playful energy of the party vanished entirely. The friends responsible for the incident could hardly breathe. Their grins and giggles from moments ago were replaced by wide-eyed panic. It was a cruel twist of fate. They had thought the prank harmless, even funny, but now they realized the magnitude of their mistake. They had not just embarrassed a guest or caused a minor disruption, they had publicly humiliated someone with immense social power, a woman whose influence extended far beyond the mansion walls. Every thought raced at once: how would she react? Would the billionaire husband find out immediately? Could they recover from this? Guests around the pool began exchanging nervous glances, some covering their mouths in disbelief, others quietly shaking their heads. Phones appeared in hands like weapons, capturing the moment with shaky fingers. A few more daring guests whispered names under their breath, confirming their suspicions. The atmosphere, once filled with carefree indulgence, now brimmed with tension, regret, and a touch of fear. The mansion, which had seemed a safe haven for privilege and playfulness, suddenly felt like a courtroom, with everyone silently judging the actions of the friends who had acted impulsively. The woman herself remained poised. She wiped her hair from her face, her expression calm but firm. Her eyes met those of the friends who had shoved her, not with anger, but with a piercing awareness that cut deeper than any harsh words could. The power dynamic of the room shifted instantly. What had been a playful gesture now seemed almost reckless in hindsight. It was as if the pool had become a stage, and everyone was waiting to see how the central character would respond. Would she laugh it off, or would the consequences unfold in real time before the crowd? Meanwhile, the staff and other guests moved subtly, offering towels and support, but even they could not mask the shock etched across their faces. The poolside, once a place of fun and laughter, now felt charged with the electric tension of a mistake with social consequences far beyond anyone's control. Every small movement, a footstep on the wet marble, a whispered apology, a nervous glance, seemed magnified. The mansion had become a microcosm of high society itself, beauty, wealth, and laughter on the surface, but underlined by power, reputation, and the ever-present awareness of social hierarchies. The incident quickly became the main topic of conversation among the guests. Subtle murmurs and speculation spread from one group to another. Some whispered about the billionaire wife's possible reaction, while others debated the friend's audacity or recklessness. It was a moment that would linger in everyone's memory, a dramatic reminder of how quickly fun could turn into humiliation, and how one impulsive act could shift the dynamics of an entire gathering. By now, the friends responsible for the push were visibly shaken. They tried to apologize, stammering through sentences that felt inadequate even as they came out. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know," one of them muttered, the words barely audible over the tension. But apologies, in this moment, seemed fragile and almost meaningless against the gravity of the realization. The truth had settled in, they had crossed a line, and there was no immediate way to undo it. As the golden sunlight danced across the pool, reflecting in ripples around the woman, it became clear that this incident would define the party. The shocked realization had transformed the atmosphere from playful indulgence to a tense, charged drama. The laughter, music, and casual chatter were replaced by whispered conversations, anxious glances, and a shared understanding that something extraordinary, and potentially catastrophic, had just occurred. In that instant, everyone understood that this was not just a momentary mishap. This was a story that would be remembered, retold, and shared far beyond the walls of the mansion. The prank had escalated into a social spectacle, one that highlighted the unpredictable consequences of careless actions in the world of wealth and privilege. And at the center of it all stood the billionaire's wife, calm, composed, and aware of the power she held, the silent but unmistakable force that had changed the entire tone of the day in a single, shocking moment. The moment the realization sank in, the entire energy of the party shifted. What had been a carefree afternoon of laughter, music, and sparkling drinks now became tense, awkward, and charged with uncertainty. Guests who had been lounging near the pool suddenly straightened, their conversations faltering mid-sentence. Some lowered their eyes, pretending not to have witnessed the incident, while others whispered nervously to one another, trying to process what had just occurred. The mansion, once a picture of luxury and ease, now felt suffocating with silent judgment. The friends responsible for the shove were at the center of it all, their earlier confidence replaced by visible panic. Their smiles had disappeared, replaced with forced expressions and nervous movements. They tried to step forward, hands raised as if to explain themselves, but words failed them. "It was just a joke," one of them muttered, his voice barely audible over the murmur spreading through the crowd. But even as he spoke, he could see the doubt in the eyes around him, the unspoken acknowledgement that what they had done was reckless, thoughtless, and socially dangerous. Meanwhile, the woman at the center of the incident, the billionaire's wife, remained calm but firm. She shook water from her hair, her dress clinging slightly to her skin, but her expression gave nothing away. There was no outburst, no exaggerated drama, just a quiet, controlled awareness of her surroundings. Her gaze moved slowly from the friends who had pushed her to the observing guests, sending a clear, unspoken message. She was fully aware of the situation, and this was not a moment to be taken lightly. The silent authority in her posture immediately made the friends shrink under the weight of her presence. Guests nearby began to react in subtle but telling ways. Some instinctively reached for towels, offering assistance, their movements polite yet tense, as if trying to diffuse a situation they had only just begun to understand. Others took a step back, whispering to one another in hushed tones about what had happened, their voices tinged with a mixture of shock, fascination, and fear. Cameras, which earlier had captured selfies and casual moments, now clicked quietly, recording the stunned expressions and the social drama unfolding in real time. The incident, minor in intention, had instantly become the focal point of the entire gathering. The staff moved with a quiet urgency, trying to restore order without drawing further attention. Waiters appeared with fresh towels and warm smiles, offering drinks to distract and calm the parties involved. Security subtly repositioned themselves near the pool, their professional composure belying the fact that they had just witnessed a delicate social disaster unfold. Even these seasoned staff members, used to managing high-profile guests and delicate situations, could not completely mask their astonishment at the abrupt shift in mood. Some of the observing guests tried to lighten the atmosphere with nervous jokes, but the attempts fell flat. Laughter no longer seemed appropriate, the gravity of the situation had transformed the setting from a playful luxury gathering into a tense tableau of social accountability. Every movement, glance, and whispered word was now scrutinized. Those who had been bold and confident minutes before now avoided eye contact, silently assessing the consequences of the impulsive act that had triggered this sudden wave of tension. The friends attempted multiple apologies, some stammering, some rushed, but none seemed sufficient. "We're so sorry, we didn't mean," one muttered, trailing off as the weight of the situation pressed down on them. Their words were met with silence, the billionaire's wife acknowledging them only with a calm, piercing gaze that seemed to weigh each syllable. In that instant, the friends realized that their social faux pas was not merely a mistake, it was a breach with consequences that could ripple far beyond the walls of the mansion. In the wider crowd, reactions varied. Some whispered about the wealth and status of the woman, acknowledging that her influence made this more than just a social embarrassment. Others speculated about how the billionaire husband might respond, imagining potential scandals, confrontations, or public statements. Even the casual observers felt the tension, a simple poolside joke had evolved into a dramatic story of power, status, and social reckoning. And yet, despite the tension, the party continued in a strange, uneasy rhythm. Music played softly in the background, drinks were still poured, and conversations resumed in careful, cautious tones. The laughter and light-hearted energy had been replaced with a shared awareness of a line that had been crossed. Everyone present, whether guest, staff, or friend, understood that this moment would be remembered, a defining incident where a small action had revealed the fragility of appearances, the weight of privilege, and the silent power of social hierarchy. By the time the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting golden reflections across the pool, the initial shock had begun to settle into a tense awareness. The immediate reactions, gasps, whispers, apologies, and nervous movements, had marked the first chapter of a story that would ripple through the party, through social circles, and eventually, through the wider world. The mansion, still grand and beautiful, had become a stage for an unforgettable lesson in caution, respect, and the unpredictable consequences of even a playful action among the elite. By the time the immediate shock around the pool had begun to settle, the mansion had already started buzzing in a new way, this time, not just with whispers and nervous glances, but with the invisible hum of social media. Someone had captured the entire incident on their phone, the shove, the splash, the stunned reactions of the guests, and, most importantly, the calm but piercing expression of the billionaire's wife as she emerged from the pool. The clip, meant perhaps as a private record of a shocking party moment, now had the potential to reach far beyond the walls of the mansion. Within minutes, the video was shared among friends at the party, first as a message with a shocked emoji, then as a story on Instagram. The friends who had pushed her tried to delete it, but it had already been forwarded, screenshotted, and discussed. The moment that had seemed confined to a poolside circle of luxury and gossip was now on a path to become a global spectacle. Phones buzzed incessantly as more guests captured reactions, comments, and the ripples in the water, each clip adding to the growing archive of evidence. Outside the mansion, social media users began noticing the clip almost immediately. It was short, dramatic, and perfectly shareable, the kind of content that people click on, comment about, and pass along in seconds. The title of the video alone started circulating: "White guests shoved black woman into pool, then realized she was a billionaire's wife." The shocking twist made it irresistible. People couldn't believe it, a playful stunt gone horribly wrong, set against the backdrop of wealth, privilege, and social hierarchy. Within hours, the clip had gone viral, racking up thousands of views, shares, and comments. The public reaction was instantaneous and intense. On Twitter, hashtags began trending, fueled by outrage, fascination, and speculation. Hashtag billionaire's wife incident and hashtag pool party fail quickly gained traction. Users dissected every detail of the video, the expressions, the reactions, the body language of everyone involved. Memes were created, some mocking the friend's recklessness, others marveling at the billionaire's calm demeanor. News outlets even began picking up the story, amplifying it further. The incident had escaped the mansion and entered a global stage where millions could watch, comment, and form opinions. Inside the mansion, guests began to notice the viral attention. Phones were no longer just recording, they were live streaming, updating, and alerting friends across the globe. Even those who had been trying to downplay the incident realized it was no longer under their control. The friends who had caused the splash felt the weight of public scrutiny pressing down on them. Their faces, their reactions, and even their attempts to apologize were now being dissected online. Panic replaced embarrassment as they realized that the incident could have real-life consequences, social, professional, and even legal. The billionaire's wife, aware of the attention but unaffected, continued to maintain her composure. Her calm, confident presence only made the video more compelling to viewers online. People were fascinated by her poise, how she had turned what could have been humiliation into an image of strength and dignity. Comments poured in, praising her restraint, her grace, and the quiet authority she displayed in a moment when chaos surrounded her. As the night progressed, the mansion itself became a hub of viral activity. Guests checked their phones constantly, refreshing feeds, and seeing their private party moments projected onto screens worldwide. Conversations shifted from luxury and gossip to the unpredictable power of social media. Even those who had initially dismissed the incident as a minor accident could now see how quickly something meant to be private had become a public spectacle, affecting perceptions far beyond the event itself. The viral explosion didn't just end with entertainment, it sparked debates about privilege, accountability, and the consequences of careless actions. Online commentators dissected the social dynamics, discussing why the friend's behavior was reckless and what it revealed about elitism and ignorance. Some praised the billionaire's wife for her calm handling, while others criticized the friends for their thoughtlessness. The story had become more than a party mishap. It was now a viral phenomenon, a cautionary tale about the intersection of social power, wealth, and the relentless reach of digital media. By the end of the night, it was clear that the incident would not fade quietly. The poolside prank had transformed into a worldwide story, shared, commented on, and debated across continents. What began as a simple act of thoughtless fun had evolved into a cultural moment, one that illustrated the speed, unpredictability, and sheer influence of social media in the modern world. The mansion, once a private world of laughter and luxury, had unknowingly hosted a viral sensation that would be remembered for years. By the following morning, the story had exploded far beyond the mansion. What had been a viral video on social media quickly caught the attention of mainstream media outlets, turning the poolside prank into headline news. News channels, online blogs, and television networks scrambled to cover the incident, their reporters narrating the event as if it were a dramatic thriller. The story was irresistible: wealth, power, race, privilege, and a shocking moment of social recklessness all wrapped into a few chaotic seconds by the pool. Journalists, bloggers, and news anchors replayed the video, analyzing every movement, gesture, and reaction. It became more than just a viral clip, it was now a story dissected, debated, and broadcast to millions. The mansion, once a private world of luxury and laughter, had unintentionally become the epicenter of a global conversation. Every news outlet seemed to want its own angle. Some focused on the billionaire's wife, highlighting her composure and grace in the face of an embarrassing and potentially humiliating situation. Others emphasized the reckless behavior of the guests who had initiated the shove, framing the incident as a cautionary tale about privilege, entitlement, and the consequences of thoughtless actions. Headlines flashed across screens: billionaire's wife shoved into pool at elite party, luxury party prank goes wrong, guests face backlash, and viral video sparks outrage over reckless high society behavior. On television, commentators debated endlessly. Experts on social behavior dissected the psychology behind the prank, explaining why the guests may have thought their actions harmless, and how social hierarchies in elite circles can create a sense of invincibility. They discussed the tension between playful joking and social accountability, questioning whether the friends had underestimated both the woman's social status and the potential fallout from their actions. News anchors replayed the video in slow motion, analyzing the reactions of each guest, the splash, and the subtle but powerful gestures of the billionaire's wife. Every frame was scrutinized, every expression parsed, and every comment amplified. Online media coverage added another layer to the story. Influencers and viral content creators posted reaction videos, breaking down the incident for their audiences with dramatic commentary, memes, and humorous takes. Twitter threads exploded with opinions, Instagram stories went viral, and TikTok videos analyzing the reactions of guests began trending globally. The story was no longer just about a party mishap, it became a social phenomenon, sparking discussions about race, privilege, wealth, and the unexpected power dynamics that unfold in elite gatherings. People debated whether the guests' actions were innocent fun gone wrong or a reflection of deeper societal issues. Even international news outlets picked up the story, fascinated by how quickly the incident spread online. Reports from Europe, Asia, and other parts of the world highlighted the global fascination with wealth, celebrity, and social blunders. The story tapped into universal themes: human error, accountability, and the unpredictable ways social media can amplify seemingly small moments into worldwide discussions. The incident, which had lasted only a few seconds at the mansion, now had consequences that spanned continents and time zones. Meanwhile, journalists contacted guests for statements, eager to get first-hand accounts. Some declined, wary of further exposure, while others reluctantly commented, expressing embarrassment or issuing apologies. Social media posts from those attending the party were scrutinized for hints, explanations, or subtle reactions, creating a digital footprint that could not be erased. Every gesture, tweet, or Instagram story became fodder for debate and analysis, magnifying the impact of what had been a single impulsive action. Public opinion was divided. Some sympathized with the billionaire's wife, praising her calmness, dignity, and patience under pressure. Others criticized the friends who had pushed her, highlighting the recklessness and privilege displayed in the prank. Discussions about social etiquette, accountability, and responsibility filled comment sections, podcasts, and online forums. What had been a local, private party was now a global conversation about behavior, power, and perception in high society. By the end of the week, the incident had become a case study in viral fame, social media influence, and the role of traditional media in amplifying personal mistakes. The mansion, the guests, and the billionaire's wife were all immortalized in news reports and trending videos. What had started as a brief moment of reckless fun by the pool had transformed into a worldwide story, proving that in the age of digital media, nothing, no matter how private or small, can remain contained. The coverage also highlighted a larger cultural dialogue, the intersection of privilege, race, and wealth, and how a single moment can ignite widespread debate. Experts, journalists, and online commentators agreed that this incident was not just entertaining but also illustrative of deeper societal patterns, making it more than just a viral video. It had become a story with lessons, consequences, and far-reaching implications. The aftermath of the incident was unavoidable. By the time evening fell, the mansion that had once been a sanctuary of laughter and luxury had transformed into a scene of tense reflection and careful maneuvering. The friends responsible for the poolside shove sat together in a quiet corner, their expressions heavy with guilt, anxiety, and dread. They understood, now more than ever, that what had started as a careless prank had escalated far beyond their control. This was not just a minor embarrassment to laugh off later. It was a social disaster, magnified by social media, traditional news outlets, and the countless eyes of the public. Apologies were the first step, though even these felt insufficient. One by one, the friends approached the billionaire's wife, their words stumbling over themselves. "We're so sorry, we didn't think it would, it was meant as a joke, please forgive us," but no matter how quickly they spoke, their voices barely cut through the weight of the moment. She listened, calm and poised, acknowledging them with measured nods but offering no dramatic forgiveness. Every word they uttered seemed to underscore their mistake rather than erase it. Other guests, sensing the fragility of the moment, moved cautiously. Some offered support to the friends, whispering encouragement or trying to smooth over interactions, while others discreetly spoke to the billionaire's wife, asking if she was okay. The entire mansion seemed to operate on a delicate balance. One wrong gesture could ignite further tension, while careful words could help stabilize the situation. The staff, trained to handle high-profile crises, quietly ensured that tensions did not spill into chaos, handing towels, arranging seating, and managing the atmosphere with practiced precision. Outside the mansion, the consequences extended far beyond apologies. The viral videos and news coverage had put the friends under scrutiny from people around the world. Social media commentary ranged from outrage to mockery, with hashtags and memes spreading like wildfire. Career implications were real. Some of the guests involved were public figures or professionals whose reputations depended heavily on perception. Even private individuals felt the pressure, realizing that a single impulsive act could leave a digital footprint that would never truly disappear. The billionaire's wife, meanwhile, maintained an almost regal composure. She understood the dynamics at play and handled the situation with subtlety. Rather than escalating the tension, she accepted apologies with grace, allowing the guests to acknowledge their mistake without humiliation. Her reaction became a powerful statement in itself, restraint, dignity, and measured response can wield more influence than anger or drama. In many ways, her calm presence served as a corrective force, restoring balance to a situation that had threatened to spiral entirely out of control. Statements were eventually issued publicly as well. The friends involved released carefully worded apologies on social media, acknowledging their error and expressing regret. What was meant as a light-hearted joke has clearly caused unintended offense, and we sincerely apologize to the billionaire's wife and all others affected. These statements, while necessary, did little to erase the shock of the incident, but they demonstrated an effort to take accountability and control the narrative in a world where perception is everything. Even as apologies circulated, the incident became a cautionary tale within elite circles. Discussions arose about boundaries, respect, and the fine line between playful behavior and reckless actions. Guests and observers alike debated the responsibilities of individuals in positions of privilege, and how a single impulsive act could have repercussions that extend far beyond a private setting. It was a moment that exposed not only social dynamics but also human error, and the consequences that accompany carelessness in high-stakes environments. By nightfall, the mansion returned to an uneasy calm. Conversations resumed, but the laughter and carefree energy of earlier hours were gone, replaced by reflection, self-consciousness, and the quiet weight of lessons learned. The friends involved were visibly changed, their pride and confidence tempered by the reality of their actions. For the billionaire's wife, the evening had demonstrated not only her composure and strength but also the subtle power of measured response. Ultimately, the incident, apologies, and initial consequences served as a powerful reminder: actions, even when meant in jest, have consequences. In the world of wealth, social status, and digital media, nothing stays private, and every gesture carries weight. The event would be remembered by everyone present: the guests, the staff, and eventually, the millions who witnessed it online. It was a moment that would shape reputations, inspire debates, and serve as a cautionary tale for years to come. As the night settled over the mansion, a quiet reflection took hold among the remaining guests. The laughter, music, and carefree chatter of earlier hours had vanished, replaced by a contemplative atmosphere, where everyone seemed to weigh the events of the day. The incident by the pool, a single, impulsive shove, had grown into a social spectacle that none of the guests could ignore. It was more than just a viral moment, it had become a mirror, reflecting the dynamics of privilege, impulsive behavior, and accountability in a world where wealth and influence often dictate social interactions. The friends who had pushed the billionaire's wife into the pool were perhaps the most profoundly changed. Each replayed the sequence of events in their minds, analyzing every laugh, every careless step, and every moment they had underestimated the consequences. What had started as a playful joke had spiraled into a public incident with real-world implications. They realized that in environments where social hierarchies are rigid and public perception is everything, even minor actions can carry enormous weight. Humility, restraint, and awareness, qualities they had momentarily neglected, had now become lessons etched deeply into their consciousness. For the billionaire's wife, the experience reinforced the subtle power of composure and dignity. By responding calmly rather than reacting with anger, she had controlled the narrative without uttering a word. Her behavior became a silent lesson for everyone present: sometimes, influence is wielded not through confrontation, but through measured presence, patience, and grace under pressure. The guests, witnessing her reaction, began to understand that respect, once earned, amplifies authority far more effectively than loud expressions of power or retaliation. The broader reflections extended beyond the mansion itself. As the incident circulated across social media and news platforms worldwide, it sparked global conversations about social behavior, accountability, and the consequences of impulsive actions. Observers debated the role of privilege in such situations, how wealth can create environments where some feel invincible, and how society often responds differently to similar acts depending on who commits them. It became a teachable moment not just for the guests present but for anyone watching online, a reminder that actions, no matter how playful or trivial they seem, exist in a web of social consequences that can ripple far beyond the moment. Many of the guests quietly discussed what they had learned, acknowledging that a sense of invincibility or entitlement can blind even the most careful individuals. They realized that social etiquette, awareness, and empathy are critical, not only for maintaining relationships but for protecting one's reputation in a hyperconnected world. The incident by the pool had demonstrated, in real time, the power of perception, how quickly admiration can turn to judgment, how respect can evaporate in an instant, and how digital platforms amplify every misstep to a global audience. Even the staff and organizers of the party reflected on the day. They recognized that their role in managing a high-profile, high-stakes environment went beyond logistical coordination. Every gesture, every moment of care, every intervention matters when tensions rise, and the smallest oversight can contribute to a cascading event. In many ways, the pool incident became a lesson for everyone, regardless of status, a reminder of the interconnectedness of actions, social perception, and responsibility. Ultimately, the incident left an indelible mark on all who were present. The friends involved learned humility, accountability, and the importance of considering the potential consequences of every action. The billionaire's wife became a symbol of poise, patience, and quiet authority. The guests, staff, and online audience were all reminded of the fragile balance between fun, privilege, and respect in social interactions. By the time the mansion finally quieted, the story of the pool incident had fully evolved from a simple prank into a narrative rich with lessons. It had become a cautionary tale for the digital age, where no action remains private, and every gesture carries the potential to resonate far beyond the moment. The luxury, laughter, and casual indulgence of the party had been forever tempered by a single incident, leaving a lasting impression that would be remembered not just for the drama, but for the powerful, enduring lessons about human behavior, social responsibility, and the subtle, lasting weight of respect.